Okay, well, here we are again. It just, it came up quick, I think. I don't know how. It possibly could have, but uh, time is going by. But why don't I start the meet at 4:00? And if Matthew joins us, that'll be terrific. Anyone have any comments they want to pass along or communication? Okay, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the October meeting. And thank you, Rosemary, for taking those.
I did have one comment on the minutes.
Okay, so Catherine made the motion and Sashi second. Okay. Yes, Barb.
Do we want to note where we're talking on the second page, the new business program collaboration for the holidays with senior center, deck the halls? Maybe just say something like the board discussed diversity, equity, and inclusion in public programs, just because we did have sort of a discussion about that, and it's an important issue. And I think it would be nice if the minutes reflected that we did we're aware of it and we discussed it.
Sure.
You know,
Sounds
so
good.
like we're on top of things.
Yes.
That's a good idea.
So what do you want to say? How do you want me to say it, Barbara?
The board had a conversation about diversity, equity, and inclusion in library programming.
Okay, conversation about diversity, equity, and inclusion in library programming. Okay. And I never did get who made the first motion and who made the second.
Made
To
the
approve.
first one and Sashi.
Oh,
seconded.
I'm sorry. Can you speak louder?
I made the first one and Sashi seconded it.
Okay.
Marie, you're muted.
Let me see
Yeah.
if it's me or,
Marie, you're muted.
Muted.
Oh,
there we go.
There we
No, when I
go.
came back, I didn't pick up on that.
Okay,
It's probably a good thing to
second to
muted.
approve. Okay. Okay, so I got that, Barbara. Was there somebody else who wanted something else in the minutes?
I brought up the fact that under number 6, review of statistics. In
Yep.
the second line of that, under library statistics, September 2020, it says, so now patrons are easily fined.
Oh, should be can easily find.
Exactly.
Yeah,
All right. Good catch. Okay.
great.
Anything else?
Oh, it's good.
Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
hi.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for picking up on both of those, Barbara and Catherine, those edits. Great. Next item is our statistics and then director's report. So I'm going to hand it over to Jennifer.
Looking over our statistics this past month, its trajectory is kind of on course with how many people we're seeing in the library. We're, like I mentioned last time, we're about half. We're seeing, about half of what we saw last year because of COVID. We are obviously seeing more ebooks and, that kind of materials going out.
It actually
I think we're,
surpassed this last year.
I'm sorry.
The ebooks actually surpasses the last few years.
Yes, it definitely does. And
Mhm.
we're getting lots of requests. We put a little more money into it, and we're looking even through the following year, switching some money to help that category, because obviously, even if, COVID goes by the wayside slowly but surely, people are noticing even more so that digital resources are available and they can get it right on their devices. So it's a no-brainer, and we were, as I had mentioned 2 years ago, we're definitely going to be keep adding and increasing to that area. So
Could you
Um,
clarify
yep.
something for me?
sure.
Did you say the library is seeing half the number of patrons or half the number of checkouts?
Half the number of patrons
Patrons,
as
okay.
compared to last year, but that's because of COVID.
Jennifer, I had a question about the video. How much
Of course.
how much do we pay to have the option for downloadable video? Because it doesn't seem like many people take advantage of it.
We don't really, so that's something that's offered through Overdrive. We, what's bought in that category is basically related to our the consortium group that we collaborate with. And that consortium group, a lot of libraries have their own streaming services, so they don't have, you know, a really large volume of downloadable video. So I'm not surprised that there's not a lot of checkouts on that. So there's not a huge offering, but yeah, it's basically whatever the consortium itself is purchasing as a full group. So that's why you're seeing very low numbers in that. Again, most libraries have streaming services, which we are looking into. It's just dependent on price point. And the price point can be somewhat dicey because it's usually pay by user and you know, how many checkouts you can have. And we just haven't gotten that direction just yet. So, but that's what you're seeing, that low number. Any other questions about statistics? I don't really have too much. Our programming, as you see, we're just going to keep looking at that. We're having a significant increase from viewership from people. So that's, you know, recorded, I should say. So that's really, really good. And a lot of our activities picking up live, which, as you know, is now you're watching as the program is actually going on. You're participating in that program. So we're seeing more people catching on to some of the programs that we have, which is really good.
I'd like to just comment about the library homepage usage.
Sure.
And please take this constructively, I guess. But
sure.
I believe the website was in development a year or two ago, and it seems like it kind of stalled. When you look at other comparable libraries, there's a much more professional web presence, and maybe perhaps the organization. So is that something that is still ongoing to work on the website, or are we, because I think perhaps, you know, I mean, the usage really has decreased, but if that's the portal to a lot of other services, it doesn't like it's really doing the job as perhaps as it should be. And it might, you know, I'm suggesting that perhaps a little more work on the website might get some huge benefit.
I do have some news for you. So it's twofold. Our town website just went live today. So I would definitely encourage you to check that out. We just got, you know, after I sent out this packet, they went live this morning. So the town of Groton now has a completely redesigned website.
Oh, okay.
And there's a link to each individual department. But of course, take that with a grain of salt because we're still tweaking a lot. You'll see that once you get to the library portal page, I don't want to say it's basic, but the foundations are there. We're keeping it rather simplistic. We're trying to decide right now, when you click on the catalog, it takes you to another page, and it's Circe software has another web page. And so we've got two pages going on. And so we're trying to decide which one are people going to click on first, or should we redirect them? You'll see, if you go to our town website, then go to, or go to grotonpl.org, you'll see what I'm talking about. But the takeaway from this is that it just went live today, and it looks so much more modern and clean and really robust. It's got a lot of pictures.
Wow.
So once you go to it now, and it looks like it's down.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you, this has been a question all day today. Are you going to the town of Groton as the URL?
I Googled Groton Public Library and the URL comes up as groton-ct.gov/library.
So what the IT department has stated is it takes a little while for Google to archive the actual indexing. So what they are encouraging, we tell our patrons
Working.
that they need to clear their cache, clear their history, because if you have saved the URL within your set, it'll go and give you an error. And then if you Google us currently and then click on the link, it will also do the same thing. So it's encouraged to actually type in the URL and it'll get you to the right spot.
Mine just
They
works
are-
fine
yeah.
on the phone. It's up and looks
Yeah,
nice.
it's working for those, like I said, if you've cleared your cache, you know, updated, like I said, it's actually something to do with Google and the history that is being held in your internet browser. So,
Yeah.
but it definitely looks different.
No, it looks good.
So, and we're, like I said, we're tweaking our own page. We wanted to get the essential information up, but we're going to add some new pictures and whatnot. So we're very excited about that. That was the big telephone question today, Barbara. Help us get to the website. So hopefully we'll get more clicks that way. So, and
Great.
to answer your question, Marie, yes, we're here. It's
Super.
here now. So
That's an immediate
thank you
answer.
for that.
It
We've
came
been
up,
waiting and waiting and waiting and
the
so here
town
we are.
part so far looks great.
Yeah.
It did,
Yeah.
I did see a piece of library where it showed, I could see shelving, but then I didn't see that. But it's a work in progress, but it's looking good.
Yeah, in
Great.
fact, we just we posted a picture once you get to the library page. We were just discussing different pictures. We have GMTV took some pictures, and so we'll be posting those shortly. So yeah, we're really
Very
happy about that.
nice.
That's super.
So,
It's a
That's
good,
super.
yeah, I agree. It was such a, yeah, you're right. How do you say it diplomatically? It was very
Yeah.
institutional.
yeah,
It was very,
very busy too.
yeah.
We laugh because Judy Kalmelis, our librarian who develops our page, she was using software from 1999. So we are thrilled that we don't have to use that anymore. And we're using something, really robust. So it's very exciting. Yeah, so other than that, I don't have a whole lot. We're just plugging along. We are seeing some more new patron registrations, which is nice. So other than that, business as usual. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Okay. Oh, Catherine, you're muted. Catherine, I think has a question, but she's muted.
That was making so much noise, I muted
Okay.
myself. Are you getting any concerns or feedback about changing the amount of time in the library or, rolling back to 2.0 or whatever, what with the COVID surges? Or is everything-
So, yep, I was going to talk about that actually. I mean, if there's no other statistic questions, I could completely go right into that if you'd like.
Well, why don't we follow your, I think we all want to hear about that. Why don't we follow
Yeah.
your director's report and then just.
Okay. Yeah, of course. So,
Okay.
regarding, we took governor's guidelines for the 2.1 rollback, but in looking at the state site and conversing with some of the other neighboring libraries, there hasn't really been a whole lot of change. The governor has stated that for 2.1, libraries can still be at 75% capacity. And of course, that's, when we say 75% capacity, there's all different shapes and sizes to the libraries. So we have not encountered, as I said last meeting, we have not seen a surge of people. Everybody's in the library. There's a ton of people. It's more like, I want to say it's kind of like the grocery store mentality. People are coming in, they're picking up their items and they're leaving. Hi, Matthew. So, you know, they're doing that. And then the only other thing that they're really doing is they're using our few computers that we do have. They're just utilizing it for an hour. And then we're ushering them out because other people may be waiting. But even that, we haven't seen too many people. We're seeing I don't want to say a huge decline, but we are seeing a decline. Initially, we had a lot of people waiting for the computers, but not so much. So at this point, I'd say we're doing okay with the frequent visiting and then people leaving, but we're keeping an eye on right now because we are in a red zone. So we're keeping eyes on that. We're obviously checking our numbers daily. I check in with circulation because they see all the traffic patterns, you know, when people are walking in. But people sometimes will mention when they come in, they're like, wow, it's busy. Like the parking lot's full. But to be honest, it's like they're congregating to come check out their materials and then they leave. So we are, like I said, just monitoring that. And if we're developing right now some contingency plans that if we have to scale back, I know as of today, some of the towns and like big cities like New Haven and whatnot, they're considering rolling back to phase 1. So, you know, we are keeping an eye on that just because the amount of people that we see and the different people that come in, you know, we just got to be cautious. So if we have to, we will, you know, work on plans for that. So.
Jennifer, as the weather gets colder, and I'm just thinking about the session we had with the other libraries about homeless in Groton. Do you anticipate, or are you starting to see more people who are using the library just as a place to get out of the weather? And
we have a couple regulars that have come since forever and a day that we do know of that are homeless. We know them well enough that, you know, we ask if they need anything or they need some resources or but they're usually in and out of the library. They are adhering to all the policies that we have for everybody else. But the good thing is we have enough rapport with them that we can ask them if they need anything. We know their situation. So, and we have developed a rapport with them that we can ask them, you know, is there any assistance? Can we help them? You know, police check in on them. We frequently ask them with the specific ones that we do know if they, you know, have any information on them, if they need any help. So I'm not sure what that's going to look like as the weather gets colder. In fact, I'm not sure what, you know, in the ensuing months, I'm not really sure, you know, with meeting spaces, what people are going to expect. But of course, we're going to follow governor and town guidelines. And, you know, I got to know, I don't know if anybody uses Charter Oak Bank, but I have heard as of yesterday that they are closing all their inside branches
on Monday
to customers. Yeah. So, you know, things are starting to happen. Schools are closing at a rapid rate in different weeks. So, you know, like I said, we're keeping our eyes on all of that just to make sure everybody's safe.
with regard to the homeless. There are still several places that are serving meals. I know transportation is an issue for them.
Absolutely.
But which church is it? Not Presbyterian. The church at the corner, when you turn at the corner, if you turn
Is it
up
Pequannock?
I don't know, that's not the name of the church, but right at the end, it's the Lutheran church.
Lutheran church.
Right.
Monday at 6, I think 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. it's pickup. And I don't know if it makes sense to put up a little poster to let people know. But if you
We
if
do
you're not
have,
aware of them, I can be glad to look up all the places that provide meals if you want to do a poster.
I'll have to check, Matthew. I think we do have one. In fact, the community policing officer just came in yesterday to give us more updated information about other locations. But I will check on that. If I don't have that, yes, I will reach out to you and
Glad to
find
do it.
out if you could do that. That would be great. Anything to help, you know. I was going to say something too about testing. This just came up today. I wanted you to be aware. We met with Ledgelight this morning, Senior Center and the library, and the police department. We're going to be having from 3 to 6 this Friday a COVID mobile testing site. It will be in the parking lot. So all you'll have to do is just come during that time. You don't have to have an appointment. You're just going to drive in, and there will be police directing traffic. So you'll be able to get tested or pass the information along. We just confirmed that today, and we're
It's 3
putting
to,
it.
the times
Yep.
again?
It's 3 to 6 p.m.
Are these the tests that they get quick results, or are these the tests that they have to wait days?
I believe it's the ones you have to wait days. But it is held through Ledgelight, and they have already posted it on their Facebook website, but we're going to be funneling that through GMTV, you know, our boards, social media, as is the town manager's office. So I just wanted you to be aware that if you want to spread the word, that would be great. Any other things about COVID, rollbacks, questions, concerns? Everything's questionable at this point, isn't it? Crazy. We have been, we're very excited. We finished our state library report, thank goodness. That is the report that we send in every year that hopefully determines if we receive any money through our borrow it payments that, you know, we have had in the past a special fund earmarked. And if you don't remember, last year we used to use that money for our Cersei library software, and we have since moved that into our budget. So subsequent money, if we do receive it through the state, we will be using it specifically for library related services. So, but it's a huge report, and it's something that our new financial assistant did a terrific job gathering the data, and that has been submitted. So phew, one less thing. Huge report done.
Is that online, Jennifer? I'm just thinking if we want to browse it.
Yes, it is. In fact, it goes back, I want to say like 10, 15 years. So you'll be able to review what it does. The state report's really, really good because it shows you every single public library in Connecticut, and it breaks everything down from salaries to collection based,
Remember it well.
everything. I know, don't you? Isn't that
Yeah.
a nightmare? No.
Sorry, I can't do it anymore.
I know, it's so exciting. So it's really a great database of information, but it is located on the state library, Connecticut State Library website, and it's under library services, under state report. So if you need any direction on that, I'd be happy to point you in the right direction, but it is on their site.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. What else can I tell you? It's unfortunate that COVID has derailed plans, but I did want to call out that we would have marked the 10-year anniversary of Teenscape this year. That was generous funding from the Community Foundation of Southeastern Connecticut. But Jessa Franco, our teen librarian, is planning to do some kind of really, really great video, you know, highlighting. We have lots of archival material that we're going to pull up from the years and put together something really great for the teens. And we're hoping that we can next year, if things align properly, that we can have an in-person celebration. So more developments on that. And last but not least, on that piece of business, I wanted to say, Children's First, we discussed this at length. That office lease space that we're gonna let them use has been approved. And we're really happy about that because they're just a great partner They help out with, they oversee like preschools, and they develop, like I said, submit grants for all kinds of initiatives, literacy, health and wellness for children in Groton. So they've always been a great partner, and it seems like a no-brainer. They use the library for meetings all the time. So it just seems a great collaborative offering. So
Where did you find space for them?
so one of our meeting rooms, meeting room 6, we about 2 years ago, we commandeered that area for archival intake processing. And we had a staffer in there that was inputting, archives. We have since moved that behind the scenes in the back rooms because, a lot of times, we have archival items that are left in that room, and I'd prefer them in the back. So that room became empty, and we were going to use that for a community space for Children's First, but also for our community policing officer hours. And we were hoping in time to add a social worker at some point. And of course, this is all different hours. The Children's First is only going to be there about 10 hours a week. Our community policing officer is only there about 2 hours a week. And then we're hoping the social worker can maybe pick a day if we get one. So we have a room that it's not going to disrupt the public's use of meeting spaces. So, yeah.
6 ounces of water.
That's good. Okay.
Any questions, concerns?
That's off.
My director
I'm going to
report.
consider anyway. Shall I turn my?
Anything else that I guess I can go into new business?
Yes, I think so. It's-
Okay. So we are beginning deliberations for the budget 2021. Seems like I just did 2020 yesterday. And we're right back at it. But I think this, of course, I want to qualify saying, while we're unsure about COVID related matters, I am anticipating right now at this point, submitting a level budget unless, the town manager thinks otherwise. But we are going to push through with a lot of our, normal business in the budget, staffing and whatnot. So we're just in the very, very beginnings of this. So I'll keep you posted as we progress through the process.
So just to clarify, it's level services, Jennifer, not level funding or.
I would say both level funding, but also level service. Yes.
Okay, because that's really 2 different numbers. Level services usually is more than what,
Right.
each year than what levels funding is.
Right. Well, right. Correct. But our staffing, everything is going to be the same. I should say the staffing, I'm glad you actually mentioned that because there is projected increases for raises. I mean, this was something from before COVID. And because it's contractual, quite sure that we have to continue on that path. But at this point, we have just opened the the spreadsheets and everything to get started. So we're really on the very beginning stages of our budget. But if anything changes, like I said, will certainly keep you posted.
Also, where the town manager, I guess, suspended capital improvements so that to keep staff, which I think was a great idea. But were there any capital items that were approved last year in this current budget that didn't get implemented because they were suspended? And will they need to be brought up again?
There was one item through GMTV. Our building, believe it or not, our building related CIPs through Public Works for our building went through out of all the things. that went through. The only item would be, like I said, GMTV was going to implement some, looking at our meeting rooms, putting new, what would you call it? New projector, new meeting room space equipment. But to be honest, we're not even using the meeting rooms, so it was probably a smart idea to push that ahead for the following year. So yes, it is going to be put, well, Sean and I have put that in for the upcoming years. I mean, that's going to be put into the upcoming year CIP. Whether or not the town manager deems it necessary to push it again another year is completely going to be up in the air at this point. But nothing too drastic with CIPs. I mean, even with technology, I mean, we did receive our, we are getting things like our Microsoft Office is going to be upgraded through IT. Our website, for example, was put through, I mean, we have that. So those things are still continuing,
Do
thankfully.
those come out of your budget though? Do they come out of the IT budget?
IT, but I mean, through all the CIPs are interrelated to the different departments. And so the necessary ones right at this time were, went through. I'm happy to say that the building maintenance is always concerning to me because we always have strange things that fail, and they could be, very important. Like our fire alarm system was the previous year, and thankfully that did go through because now the whole system is functioning properly. You don't want it to be a safety hazard. So I'm glad they were cognizant that we definitely needed something like that to continue on. So yes.
Well,
I
thank
just wanted,
you for
yeah,
that.
of course. I wanted to just give you a quick little informational piece. We haven't talked about this in a while, but the Jim Streeter collection, this ongoing since we put the local history room in, we have had this continued discussion that his collection is coming in drips and drabs, a little at a time, and he has the past couple months been bringing in more and more items at a bigger volume. And so we're having some of our substitute librarians, as well as some of our part-time staff, since volunteers, we haven't really encouraged any of them to come back just as yet, are delving into some of that collection and getting it digitized and put into our system. So in the ensuing months, I see us really plowing through that collection and getting it accessible to the general public.
That's great.
So, let's see. We have, since last year, we have reviewed a significant, I guess you could say we're really taking a look at all of our technology, not just by IT, but our software, our wireless. As you see, almost every single meeting, I have something about, firewall or internet or something. The technology infrastructure all coming to a close or coming to a life end. So we've had to really put a lot of attention to these things. Firewall will be coming in probably within the next week. You'll see what that'll do is that will significantly help with security. It will help with so many of the issues that we've been encountering. Our filtering software will be better. The internet bandwidth will be better. And then from that point, the next part is we're looking at getting a lot of the technology in our telecom room all updated, servers and switches and all these IT items that I'm glad I'm not an IT person. But all of those will be upgraded. And then last but not least, they said the internet, I'm looking at wireless access points for outside the building. So people will be able to have a good connection when they come into the parking lot, especially during COVID. It'd be really helpful to have internet reliability outside for people. So that's coming. And then last but not least, following that, our self-check software, the things that you use to check out all your materials, we are going to be upgrading that as well. The DVD box, unfortunately, is coming. It's not going to be upgraded. We're going to be taking that out at some point. The software is not, at this point, the company that runs that program is just not upgrading their software. We're still running Windows 7 on it, and they don't see upgrading anytime soon. And frankly, it's not worth the trouble or the money, or the upkeep of it. So we're looking, I'm hoping January, February, we're going to be switching all the self-checkout software out. So got a lot of projects technology wise, so all for good. Questions, concerns about any of that? Nada. Okay, so old business, I just wanted to say, the program, the Deck the Halls program that we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
unfortunately had to be canceled for the simple fact that we are in a red zone alert. We can't encourage people, even outside at this point, to congregate. So we are canceling that program, and sad because we were, who doesn't want to have an engagement of the community, but we want to keep people safe. So we are going to not have that at this time. And like I just spoke of, the firewall, like I said, could be as early as next Wednesday. And there may be some disruptions in service for that day, and up to 2 weeks after that to work out all the kinks. So if you're having any issues, if you come into the library or use the library internet, that may be why. So short and sweet tonight.
That won't affect the catalog, using it from home, remote access to the catalog.
It shouldn't, but there could always be a hiccup depending on what he's plugging in, what he's plugging out. He is Matt, who is our IT network administrator. He wants to be in very early at 7:30 on a Wednesday, and he hopes to have it complete by the time we open. So we're really hoping that works out well. But if you saw what our telecom room looks like, you would be appalled. There's just, it needs to be completely upgraded. So I just say that because who knows what else he'll find, once he gets in there. But I'm just thankful. It's this long going saga of, we were trying to find money for it, and if we had to borrow it money, and this has been an ongoing discussion since since January. So I want to wrap this up and have it done, have this project finished. So
I think I neglected to ask, did anyone have any new business to add? Or now I'm going to say new business.
Yeah.
Or any business. Any business.
Any business.
Matthew?
Okay.
When I get a bone, I'm a little bit like a junkyard dog, but at the same time, I've been not mentioned it for 3 months, so I'll mention it again. I would like to see our library do more on GMTV in terms of reading. There is plenty of material that's available that's out of copyright. We could do a program for kids. We could do a program so that parents, we could market to parents that at this time, you've got your little kids home. So you know that on a whatever day at whatever time, you've got a half an hour or 40 minutes, half an hour probably be a good time for that. Some homes, some games, but a little kid show. There's lots of things we'd like to do at the library that we cannot do at the library. And this is a perfect way to get the camel's nose in that tent of trying out TV. We do it as a pilot basis. We make no promises on a long-term basis, but okay, the junkyard dog will put the bone down for another 3 months, but I really would like you guys to consider it. And I will volunteer to do some of the reading.
I'm not sure if you've seen, Matthew, but we have been doing virtual story time. I don't know if you've seen. In fact, one they just published today. It was really, really good. I should send you the link. if you haven't seen it, they just published their latest one today, and they actually went on an adventure. They did a turkey. They went outside and actually gathered turkey feathers, and they went across the way to the farm and actually, videotaped the live turkeys and had a conversation. Then they went back to the studio and they went through they read a whole story about turkey trouble. It's a children's book. And then after that, they did their puppets and whatnot. So they said it was probably their best one yet, because the other ones were starting to get stale. So they made it like a field trip with a story time and then pulled it all together. So if you haven't seen it, I will send it to you.
Well, maybe we should just have a little conversation later. I don't
Yeah.
want to try to dominate. That's okay with you?
Yeah. Sure. Anybody else?
Anything else? Okay, hearing none. This is so under an hour. Would someone like to adjourn at 4:50 p.m.?
So moved.
Okay,
I'll second.
Hallie,
Who's first?
Marilyn, Barb second.
Marilyn. and, Okay.
Either way.
Okay. Well,
And
thank
of
you. all.
course, any in the meantime, though, if there's any questions or anything pops up related to COVID or anything else, I'll be sure to share that with you before our next meeting.
For sure. And wishing you all a very happy, maybe unusual, but a very happy Thanksgiving.
And
You
safe.
too.
To you as
Wonderful
well.
Thanksgiving.
You as well. Thank you.
Nice to
Stay
see you all.
Good night, everyone.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye.
Take care.